Benjamin's bullion, stacking paper, collected ducats, counted fat stacks. Ted DiBiase said it best. Money, money, money. And that's right, your ass is about to have a price. Because today we're talking about getting paid. And it doesn't matter what kind of fantasy setting you're using. It doesn't matter what edition, what rule set, what game. Hell, most of the information can transcend genres beyond that. This is inclusive to all styles of games. Because it's about building the world. This is the plaster, the beams, the joist, every part of the framing you need to put together your campaign. We're talking about building the infrastructure from the ground up, putting it in your hands, and spinning it around. Now, many of the products that are out there really treat this particular item we're talking about in our campaign world builder series very cursory. And you don't want to do that. Now, in a typical game, all the game master is really doing is saying, you have buying power. Put little numbers on your character sheet to represent your buying power. How many gold? How many silver? How many copper? Do we have electrum? How many of these pieces do you have stuck up together? Do we have some gems maybe on there to make it just a little more exciting? The problem is, you see so many coins in the course of your typical Dungeons and Dragons game, in the course of your typical game of most variety of fantasy, you're going to see so many coins slide across the character sheets. But they're coins, they're generic. They have the same generic feeling. The character has some vague, nebulous impression in their head of the size, shape, feel, maybe if you're really lucky, embossing on the coins. And they kind of go with that generally across the board. Don't do that to your players. This is going to take a bit more work, but when you make those small things that are seemingly trifle, seemingly irrelevant, when you make them relevant, when you make them important, when you make them potent, then the players are going to come back and go, oh, yeah, that was a really great detail. When we're playing in this game, you get a trove. Maybe they just kill an entire group of kobolds in a mine. How basic the stock is that? But you've just killed like 70 of them. So we have a mass treasure trove, sure, why not? Very basic, stock, standard example to illustrate the point here. And the point is, why tell them there's 13 gold, 92 silver, and 212 copper inside this trove? Let's subdivide that a little. Let's explain it a little bit different. Throw one or two coins in there from someplace I've never seen. Maybe it's a piece of brass and like a strange star. Maybe it's a coin that is 800 years old. All of a sudden it's a copper coin, but it has some degree of relevance and importance. And yeah, I mean, your players will do annoying fucking things like try to find a rare coin dealer or some shit like that. But it adds so much flavor to them. And then all of a sudden they're actually looking at these completely fucking irrelevant things. Because the scope of how a fantasy game is designed, coins are your bottom barrel nothing in the terms of treasure. Magic items, gems, maybe raggedy clothes. I don't know. Coins are really, really way down here. Like just above broken short swords. That's coins, broken short swords, cobalt flesh. That's kind of the lower echelons. But they don't have to be lower echelons. When you go in there and you go, okay, the city-state that your players are from, they meant coins only of silver. Only silver coins. They have a certain name for them. They call them, silver shillings or silver marks, or they call them silver dragons or silver boars. Maybe they have an image of a boar on them. Maybe the coin is it's not a coin, but just a little round ball, like a little ball bearing of silver. Small, but, it looks different. It's a different way they've taken that metal together. There are a lot of different ways that you can produce that, the different forms, coin that's maybe, on the size of half a coin or shaped like a crescent moon, a coin that has different nobility on it. Maybe one coin has a kick-ass duke on it. Another coin, it goes through your royal lineage, and that's another way you can make that history actually relevant, important, impact the game. Boom, this coin is, 758 years old, and you can see, the old queen that used to rule the land. Queen Vixiana is on the coin, and, that's something important. Perhaps the elves in your land, their coins are all triangular, or perhaps with the elves they have multiple cultures, and there's different sorts of items coming out. certain things that maybe have little holes in them that are worn around necklaces, to help prevent against theft. There's so many different ways. Put a little bit of detail, put a little bit of thought, a little bit of originality onto your coins. Make them different. Give them different embossings on the front and back. Give coins with no embossings. Give coins from strange foreign lands that perhaps can foreshadow events to come. Perhaps can stir players' thinking. Because once, you give them a map or whatever, you give them thoughts, but then you give them a direct indication. Oh, yes, this fabled desert land does exist because you see 3 coins here that must be from that language. Must be from that land. You see some script that you have seen previously dealing with that land. All of a sudden, the players, now they're thinking about it more. You see, you've found a way to use the coins, again, almost worthless, particularly copper coins. You see a lot of games, players are past like first or maybe second level, depending on jitters or being just leave the copper coins. You copper coins. So, that being said, you need to get some value in there somewhere. You need to make it mean something, and it should all stem back to the role playing, all stem back to the imagination, to the creativity. Once you start giving them those details, and it's a rich bastion of details that's so often forgotten. How much did I get? What's my share? A sixth of 112 gold, 25 silver, and 18 copper. What's that come out to? Okay, great. Oh, I want that ruby scepter over there too, And it goes back the same way again. We're talking about money. Now, what if you go into lands where they're like gold? Why would I want gold? You go to a fierce warrior people. They're like, this is a pathetic metal. It looks pretty, huh? All right, well, after beheading you, or at least giving you a sound beating, rightfully deserved, they don't want that. Maybe they want iron. They want steel. These are things they'll trade for. Maybe they'll trade for quality weapons, for food, for lumber. When you get into an idea like that, gold is worthless. Silver's worthless. Copper's worthless. All of a sudden, that could completely change a player's mind. You could also bring in paper currency. You can bring in banks. Remember, banks should, unless you're running a very, very high fantasy style of game, banks should look nothing like they do in the real world. Nothing at all. They certainly shouldn't have multiple branches where they can just check and go, oh, your money's fine here and here. That you got to have a lot of, you got to have to really work the world heavily with magic. You can certainly do that, but that needs to be an across-the-board thing. If, banks are, all of a sudden you've kind of shoehorned that. You can't, it's not something you can just drop in shoehorned, or the players will look at you like, what in the hell are you doing? Forgotten Realms was really bad about doing stuff like that. Shoehorning in something here and then, across the board elsewhere, it's just non-existent. So, that being said, also think about trade goods. Oh gosh, we have to go to this other land, so I need to get like 8 barrels of apples, 2 barrels of salted fish, 9 live chickens in the cages, and a wagon with 2 mules. I'm going to take all that and trade all that to them for this other stuff that I want, because they are going to take money. Don't make money so simple. Don't just cave into the pressure of, oh, well, we can't have this and this taken care of. You can, and all these other things I'm just telling you, you can do it like that. You don't have to sit there and gruelingly go through really fucking boring scenes over and over and over and over again and waste the entire night. You can't waste your entire night running a shopping list. You can, oh, yeah, it's shopping. I can't believe what kind of shop. So when you're playing the game, you could just, what I call it, you guys can use it with that. Shh. Okay, you come in there, you're filling that in-between time of this, and you do not have to play minute-by-minute characters' lives. Feel free to cut things to the floor. Certainly you can have a bit of shopping, a bit of that in a game, that's fine, but only enough to kind of give the players a feel for it. And don't exhaust it. It's a very unfun part of the game. For the majority of players, I had a player or two that really liked it, but the rest of the players will sit there like, they are about to take that person outside and beat them, because it can be mind-numbingly boring. So, you want to make your coins look different, be from different places, tell a bit of a story in the coins. You could even have, for an example, I don't know if I forgot Rome's game, the, boy, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. It starts with a T or a Z or something. Zam? Anyway, the Lich, that's one of the leaders of Thay, a character from Thay, and another character from Undead Hunter in the party, and they end up getting some of these just random coins from Thay, and two of them happen to be embossed with his lichy ass face on them. Don't give a fuck. He's like, damn right I'm a lich. What you gonna do about it? Nothing. Because I'm running powerful in this piece. So the characters were like, one of them pulled them out, was showing the other character, and they were both like wigging over him, just selling. And their final resolve was the undead hunter demanded that the other player sell those coins to him for an equal amount of, I think he either had Symbian or Corbierian gold, and I kept track of where stuff came from like that. And he go, here you go, take these 2 gold coins instead. And he took those coins and he buried them. And he was afraid in character. He was afraid that somehow the lich could look out through his eyes or track them or have some kind of horrible magic, because he knew what a lich was as an undead hunter. He knew a lich has magic. He knew this was from the lich or of the lich. A sigil of the lich, something he wanted nowhere near him, nowhere near his party. He didn't want anyone else to have it. It wasn't just, I'll just take it down to the tavern. No, it has to be put away. And it was quite a strain on them. Like, they were out in the middle of the wilderness. It wasn't like he could have it melted down or anything, and he wanted them gone immediately. So it was a very good scene we had, just off of that tiny, small, trivial, unimportant detail. You get a scene. And when you can have a scene off something like that, it's certainly more gold than gold. I'll tell you that right now. So think about that. Think about your trade, how you do things, how you're going to handle your coins, and putting those details together can really add a great additional dimension to your game.